Albert Einstein biography. He was born on March 14, 1879 in Ulm, Württemberg, Germany. He was a physicist who developed the special and general theories of relativity. In 1921 he won the Nobel Prize for Physics. Read more about his early life, education, his inventions, scientific career, awards, honors and more. He was a theoretical physicist who is best known for developing the theory of relativity and photoelectric effects. In 1921, he won the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1921 for his work on the photoelectric effect. Take a look at his early life, education, inventions, scientific career, awards, honors, and more. He was born on March 14, 1879 in Ulm, Württemberg, Germany, to a secular, middle-class Jews. His father was Hermann Einstein, and his mother was Pauline Koch. His father was a featherbed salesman, and later he ran an electrochemical factory with moderate success. Albert Einstein had one sister, named Maria. His family moved to Munich, where he started his schooling at the Luitpold Gymnasium. Later, his parents moved to Italy, where he continued his education at Aarau, Switzerland. He went to the Swiss Federal Polytechnic School in Zurich in 1896. There, he was trained as a teacher in physics and mathematics. In 1901, Albert gained his diploma and acquired Swiss citizenship. At that time, he didn't get the teaching post, but he took a position as a technical assistant in the Swiss Patent Office. He gained his doctor's degree in 1905. Albert Einstein would write that in his early years, two wonders deeply affected him. The first was his encounter with the compass. At that time, he was 5 years old. He was puzzled that invisible forces could deflect the needle. And the second one was when he discovered a book of geometry at the age of 12 and called it his sacred little geometry book. In the Swiss Patent Office, when he got spare time, he produced much of his remarkable work. He was appointed private dozent in Bern in 1908. He became professor extraordinary at Zurich in 1909 and professor of theoretical physics at Prague in 1911. In the following year, he returned to Zurich to fill a similar post. He was also appointed director of the Kaiser Wilhelm Physical Institute in 1914 and professor at the University of Berlin. In 1914, he became a citizen of Germany and remained in Berlin until 1933. In 1940, he became a United States citizen and retired from his post in 1945. Albert Einstein married Mileva Marek in 1903. The couple had a daughter and two sons. In 1919, they divorced. In the same year, Albert married his cousin, Elsa Lowenthal, who died in 1936. Albert Einstein was a leading figure in the world government movement after World War II. He was also offered the presidency of the State of Israel, but he declined it, and he collaborated with Dr. Chaim Weizmann in developing the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. He was always interested in solving the problems of physics and also had a clear view and determination to solve them. It is a miracle that curiosity survives formal education. The only thing that interferes with my learning is my education. Politics is for the present, but an equation is for eternity. Anger dwells only in the bosom of fools. Do not worry about your difficulties in mathematics. I can assure you mine are still greater. Imagination is more important than knowledge. You cannot simultaneously prevent and prepare for war. I think and think for months and years. 99 times, the conclusion is false. The 100th time I am right. Albert Einstein. The high destiny of the individual is to serve rather than to rule. Memory is deceptive because it is colored by today's events. The pursuit of truth and beauty is a sphere of activity in which we are permitted to remain children all our lives. Albert Einstein. True religion is real living, living with all one's soul, with all one's goodness and righteousness. Let every man be respected as an individual and no man idolized. To raise new questions, new possibilities, to regard old problems from a new angle, requires creative imagination and marks real advance in science. Albert Einstein. The man of science is a poor philosopher. Never lose a holy curiosity. Solitude is painful when one is young, but delightful when one is more mature. Albert Einstein. My religion consists of a humble admiration of the illimitable superior spirit who reveals himself in the slight details we are able to perceive with our frail and feeble mind. Albert Einstein. Technological progress is like an axe in the hands of a pathological criminal. Our task must be to free ourselves by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature and its beauty. Most people say that it is the intellect which makes a great scientist. They are wrong, it is character. Albert Einstein. The distinction between the past, present and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. Few are those who see with their own eyes and feel with their own hearts. The only real valuable thing is intuition. Love is a better teacher than duty. When you are courting a nice girl, an hour seems like a second. When you sit on a red-hot cinder, a second seems like an hour. That's relativity. Albert Einstein. The whole of science is nothing more than a refinement of everyday thinking. We cannot despair of humanity, since we ourselves are human beings. When the solution is simple, God is answering. Only one who devotes himself to a cause with his whole strength and soul can be a true master. For this reason, mastery demands all of a person. Albert Einstein. The fear of death is the most unjustified of all fears, for there's no risk of accident for someone who's dead. In order to be an immaculate member of a flock of sheep, one must above all be a sheep oneself. You can never solve a problem on the level on which it was created. All religions, arts and sciences are branches of the same tree. It's not that I'm so smart, it's just that I stay with problems longer. Reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. We can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. Albert Einstein. Anyone who doesn't take truth seriously in small matters cannot be trusted in large ones either. The only reason for time is so that everything doesn't happen at once. Intellectuals solve problems, geniuses prevent them. The world is a dangerous place to live, not because of the people who are evil, but because of the people who don't do anything about it. Albert Einstein. Nationalism is an infantile disease. It is the measles of mankind. Great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds. If we knew what it was we were doing, it would not be called research, would it? The true sign of intelligence is not knowledge but imagination. If people are good only because they fear punishment, and hope for reward, then we are a sorry lot indeed. Pure mathematics is, in its way, the poetry of logical ideas. Everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. Education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in school. If you are out to describe the truth, leave elegance to the tailor. Once we accept our limits, we go beyond them. Everyone should be respected as an individual, but no one idolized. Intellectual growth should commence at birth and cease only at death. Try not to become a man of success, but rather try to become a man of value. He who can no longer pause to wonder and stand wrapped in awe, is as good as dead, his eyes are closed. Albert Einstein. It is strange to be known so universally and yet to be soul only. All that is valuable in human society depends upon the opportunity for development accorded the individual. In matters of truth and justice, there is no difference between large and small problems, for issues concerning the treatment of people are all the same. Albert Einstein. Put your hand on a hot stove for a minute and it seems like an hour. Sit with a pretty girl for an hour, and it seems like a minute. Without deep reflection, one knows from daily life that one exists for other people. Joy in looking and comprehending is nature's most beautiful gift. Science without religion is lame, religion without science is blind. I do not believe in immortality of the individual, and I consider ethics to be an exclusively human concern with no superhuman authority behind it. Albert Einstein. Whoever undertakes to set himself up as a judge of truth and knowledge is shipwrecked by the laughter of the gods. Sometimes one pays most for the things one gets for nothing. Never do anything against conscience even if the state demands it. The most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art and science. An empty stomach is not a good political advisor. The environment is everything that isn't me. The attempt to combine wisdom and power has only rarely been successful, and then only for a short while. There comes a time when the mind takes a higher plane of knowledge but can never prove how it got there. I very rarely think in words at all. A thought comes, and I may try to express it in words afterwards. I used to go away for weeks in a state of confusion. I cannot imagine a God who rewards and punishes the objects of his creation and is but a reflection of human frailty. Albert Einstein. As far as the laws of mathematics refer to reality, they are not certain, and as far as they are certain, they do not refer to reality. Mozart's music is so pure and beautiful that I see it as a reflection of the inner beauty of the universe. I do not believe in the God of theology who rewards good and punishes evil. Too many of us look upon Americans as dollar chasers. This is a cruel libel, even if it is reiterated thoughtlessly by the Americans themselves. I shall never believe that God plays dice with the world. God may be subtle, but he isn't plain mean. All these primary impulses, not easily described in words, are the springs of man's actions. Occurrences in this domain are beyond the reach of exact prediction because of the variety of factors in operation, not because of any lack of order in nature. Albert Einstein. One strength of the communist system of the East is that it has some of the character of a religion and inspires the emotions of a religion. It stands to the everlasting credit of science that by acting on the human mind it has overcome man's insecurity before himself and before nature. Albert Einstein. There could be no fairer destiny for any physical theory than that it should point the way to a more comprehensive theory in which it lives on as a limiting case. To the master's honor all must turn, each in its track, without a sound, forever tracing Newton's ground. It is only to the individual that a soul is given. You ask me if I keep a notebook to record my great ideas. I've only ever had one. I am enough of an artist to draw freely upon my imagination. One may say the eternal mystery of the world is its comprehensibility. Isn't it strange that I who have written only unpopular books should be such a popular fellow? There is no logical way to the discovery of these elemental laws. There is only the way of intuition, which is helped by a feeling for the order lying behind the appearance. The grand aim of all science is to cover the greatest number of empirical facts by logical deduction from the smallest number of hypotheses or axioms. Reading, after a certain age, diverts the mind too much from its creative pursuits. Any man who reads too much and uses his own brain too little falls into lazy habits of thinking. Most of the fundamental ideas of science are essentially simple, and may, as a rule, be expressed in a language comprehensible to everyone. As far as I'm concerned, I prefer silent vice to ostentatious virtue. Learn from yesterday, live for today, hope for tomorrow. The important thing is not to stop questioning. Albert Einstein. Only two things are infinite, the universe and human stupidity. And I'm not sure about the former. Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. Look deep into nature, and then you will understand everything better. I never think of the future, it comes soon enough. Have no special talent. I am only passionately curious. Albert Einstein. You can't blame gravity for falling in love. Logic will get you from A to B, imagination will take you everywhere. No problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. Peace cannot be kept by force, it can only be achieved by understanding. The only source of knowledge is experience. Imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions. It is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken joy and creative expression in knowledge. Albert Einstein. I know not with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. Anyone who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new. Common sense is the collection of prejudices acquired by age 18. I live in that solitude which is painful in youth, but delicious in the years of maturity. Any man who can drive safely while kissing a pretty girl is simply not giving the kiss the attention it deserves. Whoever is careless with the truth in small matters cannot be trusted with important matters. The value of a man should be seen in what he gives and not in what he is able to receive. Only a life lived for others is life worthwhile. A table, a chair, a bowl of fruit and a violin. What else does a man need to be happy? The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. Gravitation is not responsible for people falling in love. There are two ways to live. You can live as if nothing is a miracle, you can live as if everything is a miracle. Albert Einstein. The hardest thing to understand in the world is the income tax. No amount of experimentation can ever prove me right, a single experiment can prove me wrong. Before God we are all equally wise, and equally foolish. A question that sometimes drives me hazy, am I or are the others crazy? The monotony and solitude of a quiet life stimulates the creative mind. Any man who reads too much and uses his own brain too little falls into lazy habits of thinking. The gift of fantasy has meant more to me than my talent for absorbing positive knowledge. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. Strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value. Coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. Weakness of attitude becomes weakness of character. A person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. That deep emotional conviction of the presence of a superior reasoning power, which is revealed in the incomprehensible universe, forms my idea of God. Albert Einstein. I want to go when I want. It is tasteless to prolong life artificially. I have done my share, it is time to go. I will do it elegantly. We still do not know 1,000th of 1% of what nature has revealed to us. Science is a wonderful thing if one does not have to earn one's living in it. I am not only a pacifist but a militant pacifist. I am willing to fight for peace. Nothing will end war unless the people themselves refuse to go to war. I believe that a simple and unassuming manner of life is best for everyone, best both for the body and the mind. Few people are capable of expressing with equanimity opinions which differ from the prejudices of their social environment. Most people are even incapable of forming such opinions. Albert Einstein. Nothing is more destructive of respect for the government and the law of the land than passing laws which cannot be enforced. Information is not knowledge. I want to know all God's thoughts, all the rest are just details. Albert Einstein. Confusion of goals and perfection of means seems, in my opinion, to characterize our age. It should be possible to explain the laws of physics to a barmaid. Concern for man and his fate must always form the chief interest of all technical endeavors. Never forget this in the midst of your diagrams and equations. I am a deeply religious non-believer. This is a somewhat new kind of religion. The faster you go, the shorter you are. True art is characterized by an irresistible urge in the creative artist. The most incomprehensible thing about the world is that it is comprehensible. People love chopping wood. In this activity one immediately sees results. Albert Einstein. He who joyfully marches to music in rank and file has already earned my contempt. He has been given a large brain by mistake, since for him the spinal cord would suffice. Knowledge of what is does not open the door directly to what should be. I do not believe that civilization will be wiped out in a war fought with the atomic bomb. Perhaps 2/3 of the people of the earth will be killed. Albert Einstein. Small is the number of people who see with their eyes and think with their minds. It is my conviction that killing under the cloak of war is nothing but an act of murder. The unleashed power of the atom has changed everything save our modes of thinking, and we thus drift toward unparalleled catastrophe. If I were not a physicist, I would probably be a musician. I often think in music. I live my daydreams in music. I see my life in terms of music. The process of scientific discovery is, in effect, a continual flight from wonder. The release of atomic energy has not created a new problem. It has merely made more urgent the necessity of solving an existing one.